Hello and welcome back to Stuff Every Queer Kid Should Know. I'm Max Emerson, writer, performer, and your guide through the uncharted, sometimes chaotic, but always exciting world of queer identity, personal growth, and the roller coaster that is life. On this podcast, we're exploring the resources, role models, and tools that you need to thrive. Today's episode is all about travel. I've gotten a ton of questions in an Ask Me Anything from all of you about everything from travel hacks to relationship dynamics to how the hell I'm able to afford this rock and roll lifestyle. So we're going to be talking about how I balance work and play while traveling, the best tips for surviving turbulence, and whether I'm loyal to airlines or just a slut for a good deal. Whether you're an avid traveler or just curious about how I navigate the chaos of life on the go, this episode is for you. So grab your headphones, get comfortable, and let's take off. No passport required. All right, let's get into it. There's a disclaimer on my teleprompter listing the questions that says, some of these are invasive and I did not write them myself. The person who put them onto the teleprompter is not liable for any of the following. That's all in caps. Do I prefer the window seat or the aisle seat on the airplane? Look, I know who you are asking this question, and I'm not even going to dignify that question with a response because you know the answer. The next question is, how do I travel? I'm not really sure how to answer that question because it's different every time, so I guess the first step would just be walking out my front door. There's certain standards to which I'm not willing to travel anymore now that I'm a 36-year-old man. Hostels, for the most part, are just off the list. So pretty much anything that and higher, like not sharing a sleeping space with a stranger, and I'm good to go. The next question is, can I go with you? Yeah. You're more than welcome to just show up anywhere I am in the world completely unannounced and just barge in on whatever I'm doing and make yourself a part of it. This is legally binding. How far in advance is something booked when I travel? That really changes a lot. There are certain times a year where I know that I won't be as busy and I can book things in advance, but 90-something% of the time, whenever I book a plane ticket, that will guarantee that I will have some kind of opportunity that will require me to change that ticket. So similarly, if I'm having a slow month work-wise, the cure to that is to buy a plane ticket and then something will book me so that I will have to change that plane ticket. It's just one of those like unwritten rules of working as a freelancer. What size are my feet? Again, it's the same guy writing this question over and over again. I've answered this for you. I'm not going to answer it in this video. You're going to have to go back to older videos and figure that out for yourself. What are some of my non-negotiables? With travel, I've already said that I'm not sharing a sleeping space with strangers unless it's absolutely necessary, like on a boat ferry thing to get from one part of the world to another. But if there's an option to have my own bedroom, I'm going to take my own bedroom. I do not mind camping. I do not mind, I'll sleep in a car if it's really important. It all really depends on the factors. Like I'm not going to sleep in a car if there's a hotel right next door. But if we're in the middle of absolutely nowhere and the point is to be away from absolutely everything, my standards will change dramatically. Oh, right. Safety. Safety is probably one of the non-negotiables. I'm not really into places that want to throw queer people off of roofs. That's a big one. Next question. Hello, handsome. Come to India. Okay. How often does Sarge have to stay with a dog sitter, and who watches him while we're away? We make our friends compete for Sarge's love, and whoever Sarge loves most gets to stay with him. And there is a caveat that you are not allowed to cheat. You can't just feed him bacon all day and buy his love in a way that's detrimental to his health. You also can't, Sarge had both of his knees replaced, and it was very expensive, almost as much as what adopting a child is going to cost. And if you ever throw his tennis ball off the cliff behind our house, as much as he wants you to, you will never dog sit for us. But we generally take him with us whenever possible, just not internationally, and apparently not to Hawaii because something about rabies. Sarge doesn't have rabies. They're just really strict about it, and they make it a giant pain in the ass. Stuff Every Queer Kid Should Know is sponsored by ClearSTEM. ClearSTEM offers a comprehensive skincare wellness system, focusing on clinically effective topical products in tandem with internal solutions. The co-founders, Danielle and Kaylee, believe that healthy skin starts from within, and their best-selling Mind Body Skin Hormonal Acne Supplement is a testament to this. Unlike traditional surface-level treatments, ClearSTEM dives deeper to address the root causes of acne for lasting results. I've been using ClearSTEM since I started this podcast because they are a founding sponsor of this podcast. Thank you so much. Two of my favorite products are the Cell Renew Serum and the Hydroglow Moisturizer. They are currently in my DOP kit when I travel. I use them every single day before I go to bed at night. I have noticed a visible difference in my skin. I am less dried out. I don't have any problems with acne, whereas, I used to get one or two here and there. And I've just noticed a better balance in my skin as general. ClearSTEM was founded in 2017 by two women, Danielle Grunick and Kaylee Christina, who both struggled with debilitating acne as adults. Frustrated with traditional recommendations for acne, such as Accutane and birth control, they combined their experience as a licensed clinical esthetician and certified holistic nutritionist to develop their root cause approach to skin with ClearSTEM, the only clean skincare brand that targets breakouts and wrinkles at the same time. Discover the ClearSTEM difference and experience clear, healthy skin for life. Go to clearstem.com/max and use code MAX at checkout for 15% off your first order. That is CLEARSTEM.com/max, code MAX. Am I loyal to an airline when traveling, or do I always look for the best deal? I guess that goes back to non-negotiables and what your dignity is worth, right? So if it's $500 for a better airline to go on a 4-hour flight versus $110, you better believe I'm taking Spirit or whatever airline just kind of shoves you into the plane. That's fine. But if it's a $50 or $100 difference, I'm going to stick with the airline that I have lounge access. Have I ever been to Mexico? Have you ever seen my social media pages before? I feel like I'm in Mexico at least every 6 months. I was just in Oaxaca and Zipolite earlier this year, and it was so much fun, and you totally missed out by not watching that video. Come visit me in New Zealand. Great, I'm in. How do I feel about turbulence? Turbulence used to really freak me out, especially on small airplanes. I went skydiving one time, and the scariest part about that experience was going up in this janky airplane with instructors that are super hungover from the night before because they're skydiving instructors. It's there's a type of person that chooses that job. I always had a big fear of small airplanes, especially with turbulence, and that was a big part of why I got my private pilot's license. I kind of got a better sense of how turbulence is basically just like waves on the water. And yeah, a giant wave can send you under, but 99% of the time it's just a fun ride. And being the person actually controlling the aircraft gives you a much greater sense of that. One of the things I like about turbulence is when I'm sleeping on an airplane, it always, always, always triggers lucid dreams. So I don't know if you like lucid dreams, but it works out for me. How often do I have sex during travel? Well, that depends. How warm is it out? Come to Bali, please. Okay. Do you wear underwear on the airplane? I would hope that you wear underwear on the airplane. Those are long flights, and you're traveling with those pants. You're not going to get to wash them every day. Wear underwear on the flight, you guys. Come on. What are my first steps in planning travel? The first step in planning travel is deciding where I want to go and then figuring out a way to be able to afford to make it happen. From there, it's anyone's game. Please come to Bali. Great, I will come to Bali. An in-flight drink experience. What does that mean? I don't know what that means, but I think it's important to talk about staying hydrated on airplanes and how it is a constant struggle, no matter how much you fly, of either being super dehydrated or having to use the bathroom every 90 minutes. It's something that is really difficult for me. So if anyone out there has any suggestions for finding that perfect balance, is there a timer or an app? Let me know. What do I like to do while traveling? I'd like to do a lot of the things that I do while home, just in a new environment, to be completely honest. One of the things that I've gotten more into, at least while I can, is just traveling slower. I've been working a lot with a home swapping app called Kindred that makes it a lot more affordable to travel for longer periods of time. It's based off of home swapping. So for every night you let someone stay in your home, you get a credit, and then it's like $30 or $40 each to use those credits per night, plus a cleaning fee. So we went to Oahu on the second part of our Hawaii trip, and we stayed for 12 nights for less than $500, and we stayed in somebody's home. It was fantastic. We had 2 bedrooms. It was in a walkable neighborhood in Waikiki, and we got to do a lot of the things that we do when we're home anyways, just those daily rituals that kind of decrease the stress, and I don't want to use the word trauma, of traveling. The stress is basically defined as the change in your day-to-day routine in your life. So when you're traveling, it's great to be able to still go to the gym or jump in the ocean or do yoga or, have all of the things that you're able to do at home, and then still explore a new culture and place for what it is. So huge shout out to Kindred. I've really enjoyed working with them. You will probably hear an ad or two in this podcast for Kindred and how much I love them and look forward to working with them in the future. Next question is, how much travel is work and how much is vacation? Now that is part of, I guess, what we're talking about today, because it's a finer line than you think at this point. I've been doing social media for nearly 15 years, and I've integrated a lot of work into travel so that I can travel as much as possible and not be completely broke or in debt as a result. I really like travel projects, probably more than most people, and I'm able to find that balance by kind of dedicating the extra sunny hours of the day to work. Like, I don't really like being outside between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m., so that's my time to sit down and do emails and edit and outline a script, and then around sunset, I'll go and shoot whatever the script is because the light is best. And, if it's a work trip, it's a work trip, but I'm usually pitching a work trip that's something I would do for fun anyway. So for me, I don't get too burnt out on it. I think I travel at a little bit faster of a rate than some people are used to. So all of you people ask me to come and visit, I don't think you really know what you're asking for. Have you ever tried or heard of rainbow surf? And are there any others we should check out? Rainbow surf, I'm imagining, is a LGBT-specific surf retreat. I'm going to guess it's somewhere in Central America because that just feels right. But no, I've never heard of them. It sounds really fun. I have never been much of one for surf retreats, but I am totally open to it. I think if I were to do a surf retreat, it would be one of those where you live on the boat and they take you to the outer reefs and places that you can't access yourself. After a month in Hawaii, I've learned how many of the good surf spots are nearly half a mile away from the shore, and you have to paddle all the way out there. So I am up for a surf retreat if someone is willing to take me out in a boat. Do I frequent gay bars while traveling? Yes, unless there aren't any, or I forget, or I'm tired, or I don't want to deal with people, but yes. What is my favorite sweat-wicking undie? Okay, I probably should have put the underwear questions closer together, but aren't they all sweat-wicking undies? Isn't that the point of underwear, is to get that off of you? Or are you talking about the thing where they have the special underwear that has the little slats that separate your ball sack from, I don't know if I have to bleep that, from sticking to the side of your leg? If that's the case, probably whichever wonderful sweat-wicking underwear company paid for a partnership with Andre Sarai in the past, because if they can afford our rates, they're probably a wonderful product in the first place, because it's, we're not that low end, are we? You do threesomes while traveling. I mean, guys, 3 is just a number. What is my preferred spot to stay in Hawaii? This was my first time visiting the island of Kauai, and I am completely in love with it. The town of Hanalei Bay is this tiny historic town that you can't even get a beach shack on for less than $5 million. So I think cash, not an option. I would stay in Hanalei Bay again in a second. But when it comes to Hawaii, I really just enjoy going wherever the waves are. And whenever I get there, there's usually an amazing culture and community surrounding it. So I don't have a particular favorite spot at any one time. It just depends on what the conditions are. Will I ever visit Belgium? I actually did visit Belgium several times, usually for just like a night or two on layovers to other places, because as lovely as Belgium is, it's sort of like Europe's Washington, D.C. Like there's a lot there. It's just nothing. It wants nothing to do with me. How many hours and days do you work when you travel? I think most people don't get more than a good 3 hours of work in a day, whether you're going into an office for 8 hours or you're working from home or you're working while traveling. I think if you get 3 hours of solid, like in the computer, getting stuff done, work done in your day, you've done great. Because even those people that are slaving away at offices, they're bullshitting. They're checking their crypto accounts, they're doing their fantasy football, they're scheduling their dentist appointments. You're only getting 2.5 to 3 hours of labor out of anybody in a given day. So I think that's a good number to hit. Like I said before, I like to do it when like the UV is so high that I don't want to be outside anyway. Max, I want to move to Italy. How do I find work to support myself? Well, what do you do? Can you work in Italy? Can you work abroad from home? Like, where in Italy do you want to live? Because there's towns in Italy that'll pay you to move to them, but I don't think that there's going to be like a cafe you can go work at downstairs. So it really depends on what you do. I wish I could be more help here. First class? Sure, but you will not catch me paying thousands of dollars for a seat that's 4 inches wider. That's one of the biggest scams in the world, and I don't know why people keep falling for it. But it does pay for the majority of the flight, so I guess they're keeping everybody else's ticket prices down. So yes, first class. What's the appropriate amount of underwear for a 7-day trip? We really should have put the underwear questions together, y'all. 7 pairs of underwear for 7 days, unless you're going to like somewhere you're concerned about, the street food. But I mean, a minimum of 7. Sometimes I'll add like 50% just to make up for like gym overlap. But again, there's trips where you don't wear underwear at all. This is my first day back from Hawaii and my first day wearing underwear in like a month. Have I talked about underwear enough for y'all? Can we move on to really important issues like what are your favorite places to go? Where would you go next? And what would you do there? Yeah, that's better. Where are my favorite places to go? It depends on the time of year. It depends on if I know anybody in these places. My next up is probably for a big trip. It's going to be Japan. I've been studying Duolingo Japanese since COVID. I'm at like a 3-year plus streak. Plus I've lived there twice before for a couple months at a time. And every time I go back, my Japanese is still terrible, but it's getting better. And people are so nice there and they're so willing to help. And they know that I'm just lost and confused the whole time, but I'm a little bit lost and a little bit less confused each time, which means I get to go a little bit deeper. So I plan on hopefully doing a ski trip in Japan is the next big trip, barring work jaunts to New York or visiting family in Florida and stuff like that. The last question is a really important question, and it's, what is the best way to pack a suitcase? I always make sure to pack a suitcase that is large enough to fit my dog. No, I am 100% a carry-on only person if it can be helped. I have recently adjusted to checking bags with rare exceptions for things like surfboards or ski equipment because I am so sick of using rentals now that I actually know what I'm doing with these sports that like the equipment has gotten more important. But I have a suitcase that is fantastic. It's from a brand called OGO, and they're warranted for life. And like anything that is traveling with me pretty much half the time at this point, it breaks, right? Like every 3 years. They replace it. I've gone through like 4 of these suitcases already, and I've paid for, actually, I didn't even pay for the first one because it was from a liquor sponsorship, and it was just because it was warranted for life. I've just been getting new suitcases for forever. So I've never actually paid for a suitcase. That's one. It's got a thing on it that expandos if you need to, like if you pick up too much stuff while you're traveling and need to turn it into a check bag. That has saved my life so many times. The ability to have a suitcase that pops open and adds like 30% capacity. Soft versus hard does not matter. But I mean, there really is only one way to pack a suitcase because inevitably you've packed too much stuff and you've got to do that thing where like you or someone sits on it and like maybe even bounces a little bit. And then you just like zip it as you transfer your weight around the suitcase. And then, of course, like I said, make sure you get a bag that's warranted for life, because doing that, you're probably going to destroy it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Stuff Every Queer Kid Should Know. This is a Wellness Loud production, produced by Drake Peterson, Cass Falding, Chantilly Twazan, and Jake Wachtel. If you like this show, don't forget to share it with your friends, subscribe on your preferred channel, and give us a 5-star rating. Also, I would like to give a massive thank you to all of my Patreon subscribers. If you're in the credits tier, you will see your name listed in the show notes.